right, it's time for an Irish single malt. So, I'm kind of excited about this one. I feel like when I'm doing these, I'm doing like my best Ralphie impersonation. And he does it so much better than I do. But it's still fun. So, that Boutique Whiskey Company, I'm a huge fan. They're an independent bottling company in Scotland, bottling Scottish blended whiskeys, American grain whiskeys, anything they find interesting, Irish whiskeys, for example. I love that happens. We're trying to do that ourselves here with our new distillery, but these guys choose great and interesting things. Every time I have a That Boutique Whiskey Company product, I always enjoy it. So I'm kind of looking forward to this one. That Boutique Whiskey Company Irish Single Malt number 1, Batch 2, 13-year-old Irish Single Malt. Man, does that smell beautiful. The one thing, and you guys know one of my favorite single malts is Green Spot, or one of my favorite Irish whiskeys is Green Spot, pot still, and I always get a coconut note in there. I am absolutely getting a coconut mixed with amaretto pound cake. This sort of rich, nutty, sweet bread note. Oh man, that's good. That smells so good. But I'm getting fruit in there too. So at a restaurant locally, one of my favorite desserts there is just to get berries and cream because they do it right with real cream and no extra sugar on the berries. And it's just a bowl and have berries and cream. And I am absolutely getting a berry blend mixed in with sort of toasted coconut. Mixed in with just a ton of that amaretto pound cake. Oh man, that smells amazing. Oh, thank God it's got some spice to the back end of that. 48% alcohol. It's probably where the burn is coming from. On nose alone, this whiskey follows the path of the first ones that we tried this week, where it's just friendly after friendly. And the nose on this is also, oh, look, another Christmas whiskey. It's like we're doing a Christmas journey. And just no oomph. But the taste on this, probably because of that proof partially, it just kicks you right in the teeth with the perfect amount of sour and oomph, right? Now, that nose hasn't changed. It's still bready and cream and amaretto and berries. But all the little spicy notes, they all show up on the very end. Ah, that's so good. That's so good. So the thing about Irish whiskey is that at one point in Irish history, there were thousands of active distilleries in Ireland. And then starting in the 1800s and then through the process of Prohibition and World Wars and the economy collapsing and the Civil War inside of Ireland and Irish independence, and the English trying to tax the Irish out of existence and applying the taxes unfairly, and the Irish responding to that with changing the mash bill on their whiskeys to start putting unmalted barley to accommodate for a tax on barley, malted barley. So many things have had massive effects on Ireland, and some of it was really self-harmful. To the point where there was even, like, for example, there was a point where there was a scarcity of whiskey in World War II, and Ireland responded to that by not allowing exports or heavily taxing exports to the point where exporting Irish whiskey became a lot harder. And Scotland responded to that by increasing prices on national sales and lowering prices on export. And so within a matter of a handful of years, Scotland took over the whiskey market, whereas up to that point, Irish whiskey had been a dominant player in the world whiskey market, but they got panicky and then they circled the wagons and said only for us, and it shut down. So very similar to Canada right now. A lot of the greatest whiskey that Ireland produces never sees the light of day outside of Ireland. And all we get is, depending on where you are, all you get is, Jameson and Bushmills and maybe some Powers and Redbreast if you're lucky. It's just really the most basics of the grain when the pot still ones. But the real magical, interesting stuff that's starting to explode in Ireland is finally starting to make its way towards us, and that to me is really exciting. I hope we'll see more of them in this Advent calendar. So far, it's just been sort of a friendly flavor journey on the first few days of the Advent calendar. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Till then, may your crazy stay this side of legal, and may return before we have time to miss you. Cheers.